And it starts. I'm going to just give some context. It starts with Jed. This is one of the Bob discussions. Where they're going back and forth about Bob's book and New Age and spirituality as it is, and Bob is obviously very much engrossed in that community and those frames of reference, and Jed is really reacting against that, but not he's reacting against it on purpose because he wants to see how Bob will react. Bob says, "Well, evolution can take thousands of years." Talking about Jed in the first step and development. I don't think so, Bob. Not this kind. My experience is that this kind of evolution isn't of the species, but of the individual. I'm not talking about what people can do together, but what one person can do alone. A serious person who is willing to make a fresh start and play the game as it is, not as they've been told it is, or as they might wish it is. To strike out and test the limits of what it means to be a conscious being in a conscious universe is within the scope of the individual. Any group of two or more are necessarily externalizing and immobilized are necessarily externalized and immobilized by their very togetherness. But a single individual can go and keep going. I'm certainly all for the individual, says Bob sportingly, but you can't deny the contributions of those who came before. It is the great teachers and texts, dating from antiquity to modern science, from which we receive our understanding and to which we owe a debt of. Science is just another belief system, and a fundamentalist belief system at that. No understanding means anything until it translates into action, change, actual progress. Otherwise, it's just another evasive tactic. It's because we accept our meager illumination as full insight that we don't possess the explosive and self-destructive levels of discontent necessary to make a break. Not until we begin hacking away at our mental and emotional entanglements can we swim up and break the surface into the full light of wakefulness. And not until we do that can we understand in what a cold and miserable darkness mankind dwells. That's the personal revolution, spiritual warfare. That's the only point there is to doing this whole business. And it doesn't look bleak at all to me. Over the course of many hours together, it becomes clear that Bob views me as some sort of party pooper. Like I'm being a drag for not putting on a funny hat and singing along with the world's community of spiritual merrymakers. Like I'm a grouchy pessimist who sees only the dark side of things and has no hope for humanity. The truth is that I am probably the most optimistic, pro-human person there is. Mine is a realistic, pragmatic optimism. An optimism based on common sense and direct experience and easily verifiable results. Not on religious fairy tales and mystical superpowers and new age marketing hype. If I seem negative, it's because I know something of our potential. If I seem disrespectful of our great thinkers and spiritual leaders, it's because I see them not as liberators, but as unwitting co-conspirators in a crime against humanity, a crime of subjugation and spiritual castration. Everyone should be familiar with terms like those I've been forced to invent, and many others. Books like Damnedest and Incorrect in Warfare shouldn't be revolutionary or revelatory. They should be completely unnecessary because everyone should be talking and writing about these subjects. Human development and potential should completely saturate our thinking, to the exclusion of all the diversionary fluff with which we stuff our heads. These topics should be as familiar to people as their mother tongue. Human adulthood should be as primary in education as Mortimer Adler's 3 R's, reading, writing, and reckoning. Everyone should be making the transition to human adulthood in their early teens, and it should be a celebrated life event, not the personal holocaust it is when it occurs belatedly. Truth realization would hardly be everyone's chief concern, but there's no reason for people who have an honest relationship with life not to know what it's about. I'm going to skip one section and go on. So it follows as a matter of certainty that anyone who espouses any teaching or doctrine or philosophy is necessarily a member of the club, and this is the always outward, never inward club that he spent a paragraph going into that we're going to skip. Any spiritual teacher who allows students to ask questions and gives them an answer is a member of the outward only club, an unwitting and thereby all the more insidious agent of ignorance. The world is full of respected and beloved spiritual and religious teachers. People ask them questions and they provide answers. Question and answer, on and on. Talk and more talk. More like spiritual therapy than spiritual warfare. But all questions, no matter how sincere or heartfelt, are really the same question. Outward? And all answers, no matter how profound or wise, are really the same answer. Yes. The subtext of every question is, am I making progress by asking questions and trying to understand the answers? And the subtext of every answer is, yes, you are going somewhere while sitting here talking or reading. This is progress. Be at peace. You are progressing and well progressed. All right. So I'm not sure if any of you have seen that portion before, if you've read through the book, or if that stood out, because especially in the early portions, he's using a lot of positive words and even calling himself pro-human, which on the surface of what we've heard and read going through, if you've gone through the books, it's very easy for people to just latch on to the what appears to be the nihilism and so on. But he makes a good case in saying that if there is negativity there, it is because he sees the potential, and those who he's being negative toward are really either people who are just kind of really have either, as he said in the first book, asked to be sort of slapped around, or who are the unwitting conspirators, and as he says in one of those earlier paragraphs, keeping people kind of going around in these circles over and over and over again.